the Nostromo. Registration number 1809246-09- was an United States commercial starship, or simply known as a USCSS vessel, and was manufactured by the company Lockheed in 2101, and is a specifically modified Lockheed model CM-88B Bison transporter frame and designated an M-class starship by the ICC regulatory law. Whew, that was a mouthful. The vessel cost around $42 million to produce and manufacture, with the length being around 334 meters, width 215 meters, and a height of 98 meters. The original engines were Saturn J3000s, however, after Weyland-Yutani purchased the Star Freighter, they fitted the vessel with a set of Yutani T7A NLS Star drives, including two Rolls-Royce N66 Cyclone thrust tunnels, with bipolar vectoring for midline life function. These engines used an energy production technique utilizing heavy water. Each individual unit was capable of outputting around 7.25 million tons of thrust, giving the vessel a total of 14.5 high pulse thrust limit, which allows the Nostromo to tug around 7 to 9 times that, so about 200 million tons is its complete mechanical limit after a brief period of acceleration. This tolerance is clearly marked around the ship as to remind crew to never load the ship to this, as heavy fines can apply to any commercial towing vessel exceeding these maximum capacities of the commercially owned Star Freighter. The Nostromo is around 63,000 metric tons and can connect itself to a much larger storage and refinery unit that contains all the cargo that is then pulled along in FTL using the Nostromo's engines. The unit itself was around 1.5 kilometers long, but the Nostromo could easily be outfitted to accommodate almost any other kind of joint cargo hauler unit. The Nostromo has a max towing capability of around 200 million tons of ore, which at this point the engines of the vessel become seriously compromised and would generally only haul around 10 to 30 million tons, as to not exceed the safe tolerances of the ship. The Nostromo was able to undock from its cargo if needed to perform an alternative task that required it to enter atmosphere or make a maintenance check of the refinery unit. Besides its towing abilities, it was able to house a crew of up to about 8 to 10 people, but only possessed 7 hypersleep chambers, restricting its crew to about 7 people, as any other additionals would need to stay awake the entire journey and would consume more food, more water, and the oxygen reserves of the ship. The ship was outfitted with Mother 182 Model 2.1 terabyte AI mainframe nicknamed Mother for short, which was responsible for most of the background operations of the vessel, like navigation. While the crew were in stasis, this AI also maintained their stasis, made navigational corrective procedures, ensured tolerances and stresses of the ship were corrected, and controlled and maintained other various computer systems aboard the ship. Directly interfacing with the Mother AI computer system was possible through the special interface room that could be accessed by commanding officers. The internal living areas and the bridge of the ship were only roughly made for comfort, instead favouring efficiency and purpose, giving the internal structure of the ship a very industrial look, with exposed piping, wiring, etc. Despite this, the ship still contained all the necessary habitats and environments, such as a mess hall connected to a kitchen, bridge, living quarters, infirmary, toilets, showers, and changing rooms. The bridge of the vessel contained seating for all crew members and housed a combined total of 40 video monitors, including the crew's main monitoring stations that allowed for all data to be presented to the crew at all times. The Nostromo also contained a single lifeboat called the Narcissus. The Narcissus was a small life support shuttle able to hold the entire crew physically inside, but only one in cryogenic stasis. This was a flawed craft, but was only simply made because it was thought to not really be needed at all, and if they did need to evacuate, then it would only take a short amount of time for the distress signal to be relayed to the Middle Heavens network and a rescue team be deployed. The Nostromo has a very powerful and very effective self-destruct system that ran straight through the coolant system of the ship. If activated, the cooling of the powerful engines of the ship would be deactivated, causing them to overheat rapidly and explode, almost precisely 10 minutes after the fact. However, this self-destruct could be aborted without consequence after only 5 minutes or less of the coolant system being shut down. The ship has this feature in case of extensive or invasive biohazardous materials getting aboard, which is restricted by interplanetary law in the Middle Heavens region of space. The Star Freighter was purchased by Weyland-Yutani Company primarily basically to act as a tugboat to a near 1.5 long ore storage and refinery unit primarily used to ferry raw materials between Earth and the planet Theodis. In the case of the Nostromo's final haul, the ship tugged around 20 million tons of cargo. Originally designed to be a star cruiser, the ship was later in the year 2116 refitted to act as a commercial towing vessel by its purchaser Weyland-Yutani. It was assigned to transport raw materials in a storage refinery unit between Earth and the other outer colonies, namely the planet Theodis. Sometime prior to the year 2122, the Weyland-Yutani Company picked up on an alien distress signal emanating from the moon LV-426 of the Zeta II Reticuli system. Knowing basic bits of information about this signal, the company gave orders to have the science officer serving aboard the Nostromo at the time to be made redundant once the vessel reached Theodis, and replaced, unbeknownst to the crew, with a synthetic they knew as ash. Captain Dallas filled out a report that was relayed to Sol, otherwise known as the home solar system where Earth lay, and was relayed by the Sevastopol station. The company then gave Ash and Mother the computer system Special Order 937, which called for the ship to intercept the signal and direct the crew to obtain a specimen which could be brought back to Earth for study, making it a priority one and stating that the crew was expendable, as was all other considerations being secondary. Once the ship reached the system, it dropped out of FTL and the crew awoken. Captain Dallas was then informed by Mother of the reasons for their shortfall from Earth and that the crew had no choice but to comply with the company's orders, fearing a complete contract retraction and loss of the crew's shares, meaning they would receive no money for their services aboard the vessel. The vessel was eventually set down by Captain Dallas on the surface of LV-426. However, the Nostromo suffered minor damage caused by dust entering one of the engine intakes, causing it to overheat and trigger an electrical fire in the vessel. Engineers Dennis Parker and Samuel Brett immediately began repairing the damaged critical systems to allow them to take off again once the crew had returned. The crew eventually returned with the company's materials in the form of an incredibly hostile endoparasitic organism. The ship, once semi-repaired, was in order to take off, and despite a few systems being compromised, Captain Dallas saw this as insignificant, and they took up from LV-426 to redock with their cargo and make their way back towards Earth. However, slowly, all of the crew but one eventually fall to the creature that they had brought aboard, and the sleeper agent Ash is eventually destroyed after the crew discover the true intentions of Weyland-Yutani. Shortly after, the sole survivor, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, activates the ship's self-destruct protocols and disables the coolant for the engines. One attempt was made to reverse this, but Lieutenant Ripley was unable to succeed due to her exceeding the 5-minute safe time limit. After this, the Narcissus was activated and the crew member, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, was able to make an escape aboard the shuttle along with the alien organism. They both reached a minimum safe distance from the Nostromo before the engines went critical and obliterated the entire vessel and its Hawley unit. Following the Nostromo's destruction, the Weyland-Yutani company quickly looked to cover up the event in order to keep both the location of the alien signal and the alien itself a secret. As well as if they had been discovered smuggling an alien organism, the company would have suffered greatly in the form of massive fines and government investigations. The Weyland-Yutani company would prefer to scrub the records of this loss as best they could and pretend that $42 million and 7 crew members didn't even exist, instead of face potentially billions of dollars of legal repercussions. The flight recorder unit of the ship ejected and survived the destruction, however never was able to be obtained by the company and only viewed by 2 other civilians individuals before it was destroyed along with the Sevastopol station, which is a story for another day. But what other videos would you guys like to see? If you have any ideas or have any questions you would like answered, please meet me down in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and go check out Project ACHERON on Twitter and Discord. And if you want to support me further, you can become a patron where you can get access to early and behind the scenes content, the monthly and Alien Day giveaways, and the set of patron-only Project ACHERON engraving item sets. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and for now, this is Project ACHERON signing off.